What's a weird phobia you have? Maybe this isn't too weird, but I'm afraid of not being able to see the bottom of a body of water, whether it's a pool, pond, ocean, or whatever else. If I can fit my body into it but I can't see the bottom, I start getting extremely uncomfortable. I can walk in the ocean just fine, but the second I can't see the bottom due to deepness, or even maybe a wall of seaweed appears, I just have to head back to shore, or at least to a spot where I can clearly see what's below my feet. I own water shoes specifically for ocean and pond swimming, but sometimes even those don't help. TBH, I'm not sure. There's one scene in a TV show that freaked me out at a very young age. I think it was the first episode of Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction, where a woman looks in the mirror and sees a fucked-up version of herself. But I don't know if that's what did it. But there's also the fact that I have a seizure condition that occasionally makes me hallucinate. Temporal lobe seizures are a trip sometimes, so I think maybe it has something to do with that, or they just freak me right the fuck out. Spiders, centipede things, getting crawlies thinking about it. No, I never squish spiders, my BF relocates them. I even tried to join a spiders of _ page to desensitize, and it does not work for me. I can barely look at photos/videos without feeling my skin crawl. If my mind somehow gets stuck about thinking about them, I have to try my hardest to think of something else. The only nightmares I've woke up screaming were about them. I dream about gross demon shit too. That stuff doesn't touch me. I'm not even an easily scared person. I love horror movies, love snakes/bats etc. But like anything with more than 6 legs, and I have to calm myself down before I get a panic attack. So I can't find a name for it. But it's specifically swimming pools with nobody in them. Ones outside aren't so bad if it's day, but at night it's worse. Then if the light inside them is out, it's even worse. Then if it's an inside one, especially at night with no lights. Oh god, just looking at pictures of those things makes my skin crawl and I start to freak out. Fear of being wrong. Not wrong like being on the wrong side of an argument or getting the wrong answer on a test, but rather making the wrong life decision or being wrong about my beliefs. Like, what if I'm wrong about my religious, or lack thereof, beliefs, and there really is a hell and I'm getting sent there? Being that kind of wrong always keeps me up at night and ends up stressing me out when making a decision. Oh, and trailer trucks. I hate being next to those things. Whenever I talk on the phone I can't stay still. I'm constantly walking around. I think it's cause I have a similar phobia. I hate phone calls, unless I'm talking with someone I actually want to speak with. But 90% of the time I'm stuck wondering if this phone call could have just been a text, email. I always pace around the room whenever I'm on the phone with someone I don't know. It's even worse if I'm the one who has to initiate the call. I'll dial the number and my heart rate will instantly increase. I'll stare at the number for a minute, take a deep breath, start the call, and pace back and forth until the person picks up. TBF, I actually don't think my phone skills are all that bad, and I think I've gotten better now that I've had to talk to more people on and off the phone due to work, but no matter how much my anxiety goes down, I don't think it'll ever completely go away. This is not weird. It is very, very common, especially amongst people who have any sort of anxiety and social anxiety. In my early life I was much the same way. At some point the only job that I could find was a phone operator, so despite my feelings of phone anxiety I sucked it up and decided I need a phone-specific persona that I held up, which was a fake person. I did this because I needed to get paid, worked there for about a year, and had a couple other call center jobs before I got into my real career. This didn't exactly cure me. I still have anxiety about phone calls, But at least I can put on my phone with strangers persona when I have to call someone or answer a call, and that shields me. After years of doing the above, eventually I got to the point that 95% of the time I'm fine on the phone and only 5% of the time do I have anxiety about it. Of course, individual mood can influence the exact percentages, but 95.5 on average. Sometimes I still get anxiety if it's an important phone call, but most of the time I'm okay and my fake persona and regular self are 100% in sync, along with all forms of anxiety, and in my case especially social anxiety. Any one thing that you can do that can go past that anxiety, do it. Do it often. Do it every time you have the opportunity. This will make the harder experiences a little easier. Once anything gets easy enough to do, repeat this process. Phobia, fear of wax figures of people. Mannequins don't really bother me, it seems to be specifically wax figures. My parents forced me to go into a wax museum on vacation when I was 13, despite my protests, and I jumped a fence and ran out an emergency exit when we got to an animatronic wax figure Last Supper. It was absolutely horrifying. I don't even know what it's called. When I was 8 months pregnant, I went to a dinner theater. When I went to for every show every year, and 3 actors were dancing on a table and the table was bowing in the middle, like it's supposed to, so it doesn't snap in half. I had a full-blown panic attack. That table was going to break and they were going to fall. I can't watch people sit on tables, porch swings, swings in general, those big beds people have hanging from ceilings. I just can't. I panicked. I've had to really push it down at times when my daughter wants to go on a swing. I let her, but not if there are a lot of people around. She's almost 12 now. Our beds don't even sit on frames. They sit on box springs, and I know that sounds like it looks trashy, but we make it work. Half the things people sit on, they wouldn't even really get hurt if it fell. No idea what it is. None at all. Fear of throwing up. Hearing someone say they feel sick, hearing any synonym for throwing up myself, or anything related triggers it. I get panic attacks because of it. I'm afraid to eat so many things, always feel nauseous, and am afraid of hospitals because of it. Even talking about this is horrible. I have it as well. It's actually much more common than I first thought. It controls my entire life. I avoid alcohol and caffeine and limit other foods that are damaging to the digestive system. Some painkillers can be harmful, which is a total catch-22. I will deliberately overcook poultry and white fish just to make sure I won't get sick, and I immediately spit out anything that feels hard and sandy. I am still very underweight even for a short guy, and I am scared of overeating because I don't want to be sick or even feel like I'll be sick. On top of this, I have ulcerative colitis, and emetophobia, a terrible combination. It messes with you mentally as well. I've developed separation anxiety and generally feel extremely dependent on others, which makes me feel childish and like a burden. I don't go to parties, bars or nightclubs because I don't want to drink or see anyone else throw up. My parents both work in hospitals and complain about hypochondriacs every day, and I do not want to become one, but I already am. I've worked with therapists to try to do something about it, but I don't have the resilience to face my fear head on and worry I will be stuck with this for life. It's honestly super hopeless and depressing writing this. Thank God I'm not a woman who wants children, because emetophobia probably halts many good maternal figures from having biological children in the first place, and I don't blame them at all. Turning 36 soon. And baby spit up didn't bother me, but once my goddaughter got older and would projectile vomit, I would run across to the other end of the house. I still do not have my own kids because of this, Won't sit on a public toilet or in a home that has toilets that don't look cleaned regularly. I stock up on Trident minty gum and keep crackers at work to nibble on since we don't have traditional lunch breaks, and if I get super hungry, I get nauseous. I feel am always the same. I was terrified of schizophrenia as a young teen, or even of being a sociopath. It's delusional, I know. Now I'm just terrified of getting sick in other ways, such as physical. I can't shake the thought that I am sick, in most ways possible. Why am I writing this here anyways? This isn't even a throwaway account, lol. I'm absolutely terrified of octopi, squid, and any other cephalopods. They don't look natural to me with their arms and tentacles and weird fucking pupils. They're an alien-like creature that was left behind from a failed invasion attempt. Spiders, snakes, bugs, creepy crawlies I can handle, but not weird fucking water aliens. This is wildly specific, but I have a phobia of people dressed up as Santa Claus. Specifically, it has to be a person dressed in a Santa suit. Images, little figurines, even movies are fine, but in person, no. Total meltdown / anxiety / get me the fuck out of there mode. I have no idea what sparked this situation, but I always remember having it, and my mom confirms I would sob and flail whenever they tried to do the all Santa thing when I was really little. 4 men dressed as Santa Claus showed up at my surprise graduation party, which really freaked me out. It was June, and my family has had weirdly dressed strippers show up at family events before for fun. I was legit terrified that the Santas would start stripping in the middle of my party, so I ran away. I haven't looked at the Santa the same since. ... I still don't know why they were invited to my grad party though. I don't know what it's called, but fish hooks. I hate tying them to the lines. I hate putting on bait, and I hate pulling them out of the fish's mouth. I always think I'm gonna get stabbed by one. I'm also on edge when people are casting around me because I have this irrational fear that one will hook me in the eye. Very large human-like sculptures or statues like the Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore and Christ the Redeemer. Read somewhere this comes under megalophobia, SP? But it's only very specific to these type of large things. I can't even look at a picture of the Statue of Liberty or anything human-like and giant. I get hot flushes and my heart races and my brain goes fuzzy. I'm screwed if I ever go to New York. Lol. Another good and weird one is a fear of seeing a place the way you're not supposed to. A good example would be a haunted house with the lights on, or going through an abandoned theme park attraction. Disneyland ones are horrible for this. Or decrepit houses. Something about it terrifies me, and I don't know how people handle urban exploring. Balloons are a fucking nightmare. I've been more or less terrified of any sudden and large popping noise my whole life. Fireworks, gunshots, whatever. As I've gotten older, I've more or less been able to get over most of these, and I put it down to the fact that you can predict and expect when a firework is about to go off, for example, but balloons are still on a whole other level of a nightmare-inducing hellscape in my head. Kids playing with balloons on a bright summer day, cute innocent fun? No. Horrific display of unbridled chaos waiting to unleash itself, the shaking them all over the place and not knowing they're going to go off, but knowing that they will, when they're in that ultra-transparent too tight state of overinflation because you don't know when enough is enough. Josh. The big confetti-filled ones that the whole point of them is to pop? Yeah, no, fuck that. Suffice to say, I'm with you now. I am right there with you, friend. I can't be in the same room with the balloon because I start to have an anxiety attack, trembling hands, pounding heart, hyper-focus on every single balloon in the room all at once. It feels like bees buzzing through my veins. It's such an inconvenient phobia because dang it, celebrations are fun and I want to participate, but count me out if there's latex balloons there. The son of a teacher at my high school was running around with a flag and tripped. got it lodged into his eye and screamed blood-curdling murder non-stop in front of the whole school. Having an eye injury like that is not a weird fear, of course, but I think my mental scarring from that has made it a full-blown irrational phobia. I can't run in the woods anymore. I'm absolutely terrified of being over water, for the fear of crashing and me having to swim. I can swim, I am not that bad at swimming. I learned out of fear, but I don't like being on planes, boats or bridges or anything like that. The only time I was ever on a boat was when I went to France one time and I went on a huge ferry. It wasn't that bad because of the amount of people. I figured they could just be sacrificed if need be. I'm terrified of trains, being near them, crossing tracks, picking someone up at the station, driving over tracks on an overpass. All of it is nope, nope, nope for me. I can do it, but I have to focus hard to keep the paralyzing, crippling panic at bay. I have no idea why it happens, but I know it has something to do with the train museum my folks took me to when I was a toddler. I've got a phobia of dogs. It really sucks, cause I think they're cute and I know they can be very fun, but it's a very intense fear. I avoid parties and parks if I think there might be a dog. If I am around a dog, especially one without a leash, I start crying. I've been talking about it in therapy for a while and I think I'm making a lot of progress. It's one of my life's goals to get over that fear. The first one is water slides. When I was a kid, my mom took me to, I believe, Oceans of Fun, or something to that effect. It has this giant green water slide there. I had never been on a water slide up until that point, so I thought I would give it a go. And it was the biggest mistake I made as a kid. To begin with, I was flying down that thing fast enough to the point I almost went over the edge of the slide 3 or 4 times. It wasn't an enclosed water slide. At some point, my head bounced off of the slide because I somehow managed to get some airtime while going down the slide. I had a screaming headache by the end. Lastly, when I finally made it to the bottom, I almost drowned. I could have swore when I looked at the depth of the water before climbing up the staircase to the top, it was shallow enough to where I could touch bottom, which was a concern of mine because I didn't know how to swim. For whatever reason, I couldn't touch the bottom of the pool when I shot off the slide. Lifeguard had to rescue me. I feared water slides so much after that even small ones that are just a straight shot and aren't big at all terrified me. Almost passed out one time because I tried going down another one years later, and I just couldn't do it. Second phobia is a fear of dreams where I fall into the sky. No idea why I have those dreams, but they terrify me. I've had dreams where the world suddenly flips and I'm hanging onto a tree or something, trying to prevent myself from falling into the sky. Third fear is pool covers. The idea of being trapped underneath one doesn't bode well for me. I'm absolutely terrified of hell. The fear of hell is called stygiaphobia. I don't consider it an irrational fear either. My dad pointed out Romans 8. But I kinda can't help but believe I'm actually going to a horrifying hell, and I think catastrophizing the place made my rung in hell very scary, ever-increasing pain for all eternity. The pain always gets worse, and it never ends. Also, I've noticed that the more emotional pain I feel, the more sensitive my nerves get, so the pain will get worse in so many ways. I so truly hope that this is a delusion too. I so hope there's a limit to how much pain human consciousness can perceive, and I hope the same about trauma. I so hope there's a limit to trauma. Pool drains, filters, and underwater pool lights. Anything man-made underwater freaks me out. This phobia is called submechanophobia. Ever since I can remember, I've always been scared of them, even as far back as 4 years old. I get severe anxiety just looking at them. This is the first time I've told someone outside my immediate family about this. It's quite embarrassing. Mannequins would be one. A very specific one would be like large fiberglass models of animals or characters underwater. I remember seeing an image of an abandoned movie prop of a cartoon shark at the bottom of a lake, and if I was swimming in that lake I would freak out knowing it's underneath me. I remember going to a holiday camp swimming pool and seeing a giant smiling fiberglass frog suspended by a cable above one of those funnel sections on a slide, and it made me feel so uncomfortable. I think there was also something like that underwater at one part, and just the idea of that made my whole body feel cold and numb.